through that intersection there, and we've seen him go through a couple of red lights and several stop signs just in the short time that we have been over. You can see he's doing about 50 miles per hour. A number of agencies working together, El Monte PD, as well as the California Highway Patrol right now with the assistance of Pasadena's airship. And there you see that CHP helicopter overhead. Again, we're now southbound on Peck Road. As far as we know, we are not aware whether this has been on the freeway at all, but this started, we think, in the Hacienda Heights area. You can see he's now back in the proper lanes there, continuing southbound on Peck Road as we try and get more details on what exactly he is wanted for. You can clearly see the windows are very heavily tinted. It's a blacked out Audi A4 with black rims, and it's actually missing a front bumper. Unclear how he lost that bumper, whether it happened during the course of this pursuit or whether it was already in rough shape. But in any event, he is driving without a front bumper. Again, erratic driving through the San Gabriel Valley. And we saw right before we came out of that commercial break, he actually reached across, opened the window on the passenger side, and adjusted the mirror. We can clearly see at that point that there was nobody else inside that passenger seat. We believe it is just the driver behind the wheel trying to evade police and trying to run from the law here, but we just don't know what exactly he is running from, guys.
And there's air units above. You said CHP and Pasadena PD monitoring from the air along with us, of course. How far behind are the pursuing officers in the ground units? Are they close by? Because I'm trying to figure out why he's being so erratic and kind of speeding up and then slowing down.
Right now, this is in tracking mode, and we think that they are intentionally staying back. So they're trailing behind several blocks, trying not to agitate him, trying to give him some space, and it seems to be intentional. They seem to have a willingness to try and follow along as long as they can, but if he gets too far away from their jurisdiction, i.e. the freeway, which is basically CHP's jurisdiction, if it goes much further into the suburbs here, they may just give it up altogether. But right now they're using those air resources to track the movements, and they have some patrol units several blocks behind as they try and keep at least in the vicinity of this, what was a pursuit. I think, again, we're safe to say this is now in tracking mode. They are surveilling his movements, trying to keep tabs on where he goes as they try and probably gather some more intelligence on the driver. Unclear whether they know who this driver is or whether it's a stolen vehicle. Information we just don't have at this time, but we do think that there are patrol units, at least in the vicinity of this area.
Yeah, and you mentioned we don't know why he's wanted. We don't know why the pursuit is underway, but we do know that he's been driving erratically. He made a wild left turn. He's been speeding, as Mark mentioned, speeding and then slowing down. He ran through a stop sign. Can you describe more of his behavior?
Yeah, that's exactly it. We've seen him go through a number of red lights and stop signs, some very erratic turns, and it looks like in the last few minutes since they seem to have backed off, it's a little bit slower speeds, at least for the time being. It's worth mentioning that the LA County Sheriff's Department had a chance earlier to maybe pursue this a little longer or possibly even bring it to a stop if they saw a safe opportunity. But instead, all indications are the Sheriff's Department basically gave up. Whatever he was wanted for was not serious enough for them to continue the hot pursuit. They literally let it go and let the CHP take it over from up above.
And that is a decision that a lot of departments have been forced to face in recent years because of the number of these pursuits that have ended in crashes, some of them ending in serious injuries and even fatalities, and being involved in pursuits of people for what amount to relatively minor things. It's hard. It's a difficult decision to make, though, as you see. The original want may not have warranted a pursuit, but his behavior at this point might warrant that, given that he's going 89 miles an hour now on a surface street in traffic and approaching an intersection. He's putting a lot of people in danger here, and sometimes there's a decision to back off, and then that decision is ultimately reversed and they re-engage based on the fact that the person is driving so erratically that they need to be stopped. And that may be part of the calculus if that sort of behavior continues. He is speeding up and going through these left turns pretty quick. Where is he now?
Hey there, Mark. Just getting word. This started about an hour and a half ago, shortly after 4 o'clock in Glendora. So that's the information that I have now coming in from our assignment desk. As you can see, he is continuing to drive very erratically here over the double yellow lines. As you mentioned, the driving is getting much more dangerous here. Just in the last few minutes, the speeds he's doing on these surface streets and crossing the paint is definitely posing a risk to other motorists on the road, and that may play into it's almost certainly will play into the decision-making of law enforcement, in this case, California Highway Patrol. Right now, we're heading northbound. He's coming towards us northbound at Pelletier Place. It's a surface street, almost like a service road that actually parallels the 710 freeway. So, or not the 710, excuse me, the 605 rather. So you can see he's continuing north, approaching the 60 freeway right along the 605 and picking up a little bit of speed here as he encounters that traffic. Another thing that comes into play is not only the severity or the danger of the driving, but also are the charges warranted before. If he wasn't driving so dangerous earlier, which he obviously is driving pretty dangerous right now, pretty recklessly to say the least. In fact, I'm just hearing now this car is possibly stolen. The driver is wanted for theft at a Home Depot. So he's wanted for theft at a Home Depot and possibly, well, I don't want to speculate on whether the car itself is stolen, but he's wanted for theft of something. There you see a gesture at the driver's side window. Appears to maybe be on the phone. We thought we saw a glimpse of a cell phone a moment ago, though. You see him waving, clearly aware of the attention brought upon him as he enjoys this joyride through the San Gabriel Valley, again, heading northbound parallel with the 605 freeway. What I was going to say earlier was that if the charges were minor enough, there really is even less incentive to pursue it and endanger other motorists, because at the end of the day, it would be a citation, perhaps misdemeanor charges, and he would be probably let right back out, probably wouldn't even spend the night in jail. And so that all comes into play in the decision-making, in this case, of the Sheriff's Department, who let him go earlier after reportedly a theft at a Home Depot. Now California Highway Patrol, much more concerned about the dangerous driving they're seeing, and that will play into the call eventually, whether to bring units into the picture here, get up right behind him, and try and bring this to an end. We know that he stopped at a gas station, so it's at least safe to assume that he's got maybe not a full tank, perhaps a full tank, we don't know, but he did stop for gas in the midst of being surveilled by the air unit, and then he just kept going. So a pit stop in the middle of the pursuit for gas, and he continues on with what is presumably enough gas to continue this for quite some time. Again, we are in rush hour here as he continues northbound on Workman Mill Road, coming to another, well, you saw that person get in front of him there. Every time somebody gets in front of him, you see him start to get a little agitated and either go around them or trying to make a desperate move. In this case, he seems to be slowing down back to something closer to the speed limit. But whenever he's agitated, we have seen in the last several minutes, he just steps on it and begins flooring through some of these intersections. Yeah, at this point, really, it's the air unit that's doing the bulk of the work here, calling it out, keeping tabs on his location, and trying to almost triangulate the ground units into the area without spooking him, without antagonizing him, and encouraging him to drive even more dangerous than he already is. They're going to try and let him blow off a little bit of steam, it appears, until it just gets too dangerous. Yeah, City of Industry, and we're actually right along Puente Avenue as he continues north here, and again, kind of slowing down back towards the speed limit, and that's another thing. If he does slow down and starts to calm his nerves a little bit, here he goes into the turn lane as he approaches an intersection. I think that's going to be Amar Road he's coming up on. He is wearing a Lakers jersey underneath that flannel shirt, it looks like, and continuing through the intersection here. But if he does ease up and it just becomes a less of a threat to the public, at some point CHP is going to make the decision to just let this guy go. Already he's been going on for upwards of 90 minutes between when this all started in LA County Sheriff's jurisdiction and now through the streets of the San Gabriel Valley as the California Highway Patrol continues to follow his movements. You have to consider the amount of resources being put into what is essentially, if it was a theft from a Home Depot, we don't know if it was Grand Theft Auto, whether it's the actual car he's driving that was stolen or whether there's stolen property inside the car. But in any event, all of those things come into play, because if it's just not serious enough, the amount of resources they're spending, especially if they have a beat on who he is and where he may reside, that's going to eventually come into play as well. Again, time is on the side of law enforcement. It's really a judgment call as far as how long they want to continue this. And as we continue with Eyewitness News at 5 o'clock on television, welcome if you're joining us live online on ABC7.com or our ABC7 app. You are continuing to ride along with us as we watch this pursuit. What was a pursuit has now turned into a surveillance operation as the California Highway Patrol monitors the movement of that Audi A4 you see in the center of your screen. Apparently one person behind the driver's wheel there, and we don't have any indication of anybody else inside the car, but you see occasionally, if you've been following along with us, the dangerous driving that we have seen over the course of this pursuit, which is now in tracking mode. Again, this all started shortly after 4 o'clock this afternoon, a reported theft at a Home Depot in Glendora. Now going on upwards of an hour and a half long. Again, the LA County Sheriff's Department giving up on the pursuit. California Highway Patrol making the judgment to try and follow him as long as they can and see if there's any chance of recovering the stolen property or getting the suspect off the road. And again, one of the big concerns at this point is the dangerous driving that we have seen here. He has been fluctuating between speed limit and at times almost double the speed limit at any given point, depending on his mood and depending on his agitation. And you can see we have the driver's side window now rolled down, a phone in his left hand and his right hand on the steering wheel as he continues to weave through the San Gabriel Valley, again continuing northbound on Puente Road, paralleling the, you can see he's actually fully decked out in Lakers gear, by the way, with that Lakers jersey and a yellow, or I should say a gold cap. We're in Baldwin Park now as he continues north, and we'll see if they decide to bring ground units into the picture here. But for now, we have the California Highway Patrol calling the shots from up above, and I think that's the only other agency involved right now, right? Just CHP? Just CHP for now. Okay, so El Monte PD was monitoring this for a while, as was the Pasadena Police Department. They were assisting with their helicopter again. They were probably helping out Glendora PD if this originally started in Glendora, a theft at a Home Depot in Glendora. That might explain why Pasadena had their helicopter overhead. But in any event, those agencies have fallen back. California Highway Patrol now about a block back with 2 black and whites well behind the suspect, and the helicopter calling the shots from up above as they look for an opportunity to maybe bring this to an end. If they can corner him somehow, perhaps set up for a spike strip if he establishes a pattern. But so far, his movements have been pretty unpredictable. And so it's a challenge, especially considering we believe he's got plenty of gas left in the tank after making a pit stop at a gas station several minutes ago. So continuing Puente Avenue through Baldwin Park, CHP on the ground and up above as we watch and wait to see how this all ends. But suffice it to say, the driving has been extremely erratic as he encounters a little bit of traffic now. That usually is a catalyst for him to pick up speed or weave through the traffic. At this, look at that, coming to a stop for that crosswalk for, I think, is one of the first times he's actually come to a complete stop at the intersection. And he's continuing on his cruise now. No worries. Cool. Ten four. You just let him know I have ICOM down if he's talking. Copy. All right, so as you watch along with us on ABC7.com and our ABC7 streaming apps, Chris Christie up in Air 7 HD, as we continue to follow this theft suspect. Suspect wanted for theft in Glendora at a Home Depot, now being pursued by the California Highway Patrol. They are following his movements from above, and they have units on the ground a distance behind him as they now make their way into the West Covina area. Again, this all started about 90 minutes ago in Glendora. LA County Sheriff's Department, rather, I should say, initiating this pursuit, eventually gave it up. California Highway Patrol has picked it up, and now they are the ones, they are the primary agency keeping tabs on this suspect's location. Again, one person behind the wheel. We think that those passenger seats are empty. It looks like he is now getting on to the 10 freeway, now squarely in CHP's jurisdiction. So we will see how this transpires here, but we are now going westbound on the 10 freeway. Suspect doing the speed limits, but we've seen him really step on it at times on surface streets, going really fast through the San Gabriel Valley, now pushing about 80 miles per hour on the 10 freeway, so not extreme speeds, holding that right lane pretty steady here. He will probably weave through if anybody does cut in front of him, or if he encounters any traffic. Holding us or holding for us? Nice, cool. Do you see any black and whites behind them? They did pull off, okay. Copy that. Copy. Oh. Once again, continuing to follow this suspect down the 10 freeway. We are heading westbound on the 10 freeway into the sun, as you can see by the glare and the haze. We are coming up on Rosemead, still in El Monte, and CHP is now tracking this suspect from above, and LA County Sheriff possibly getting involved once again. And again, they initiated this pursuit in Glendora earlier this afternoon, now joining the pursuit, or at least helping the CHP with their own helicopter overhead over the 10 freeway as well. You can see the suspect doing about the speed limit, holding near the middle of the intersection in those main lanes, crossing over into the HOV lanes, actually the express lanes there. And at this point, no other law enforcement on the ground down there. They are basically just tracking this from above. And so we'll see if this person decides to go home or dump the vehicle. Unclear whether he owns the vehicle. The information we have is that he was wanted for a theft. We don't know what kind of theft or how large of a theft or whether the car itself is stolen. But again, this all started after a theft at a Home Depot shortly after 4 o'clock this afternoon. Cool, thank you. Airship still up too? Or did they just swap out? And Sheriff still here? Copy. Yeah, we're good. We're good. Where are you listening to this now, Jay? Did they switch over? Copy. I got it. Now passing the Monterey Park area as we continue to follow this pursuit suspect westbound on the 10 freeway this afternoon. Again, this suspect behind the wheel of that Audi A4 wanted for theft at a Home Depot in Glendora. Again, this all started shortly after 4 o'clock. CHP now in pursuit. Actually, there's nobody behind him, so technically this is in tracking mode, and they actually have a CHP fixed-wing aircraft overhead calling out the shots. That swapped out with their helicopter a short time ago. And the suspect's driving has really been much tamer here in the last 20 minutes or so. He's now on the freeway, as you can see, and doing about freeway speeds, picking up a little bit of steam here, but for the most part, not a whole lot of reckless driving, anything close to what we were watching earlier as he was traversing the San Gabriel Valley at very dangerous speeds, at times going twice the speed limit. Now getting off of the 10 freeway And this is going to put him on the 710, I think. We'll see if he takes the 710 north. I think he's going to end up on the northbound side of the 710 freeway. Well, southbound 710. All right, so we are now southbound on the 710 freeway. Another CHP helicopter joining the pursuit, joining another CHP fixed-wing aircraft. So they are working in tandem here, a tag team of California Highway Patrol, Air Resources, and LA County Sheriff's Department monitoring this pursuit as well. They gave it up earlier after they just decided it just wasn't worth it. The driving was very dangerous, and as I mentioned a short time ago, the speeds on the freeway have been much more manageable. We have not seen any other ground units join this pursuit in the last several minutes. Only those air resources that I mentioned following and calling out the shots from above, trying to assist any ground units in getting in the area, preparing to bring this to an end if and when the suspect slows down enough or does anything too dangerous where they just have no choice but to forcibly bring this pursuit to an end. In the meantime, traffic relatively light as we approach the 6 o'clock hour, southbound on the 710 freeway in the East LA area, coming up on the 5 here in a little bit. Know what? Did he say something? Copy. As we continue southbound on the 710 freeway, watching this pursuit suspect continue, he's actually just crossed under the 5 freeway and is now encountering a bit of traffic. Worth noting as we get this rear view that his right taillight is out, and that's in addition to the missing bumper on his front end. Again, we don't know how this damage was incurred on this Audi A4, but we do know that there was a lot of reckless driving in the early minutes of this pursuit. Things much tamer now on the freeway. He's pulling over towards the right lane. He's near the Whittier Boulevard exit, as you can see there. We'll see if he decides to get off the freeway, but certainly encountering the heaviest traffic, and the traffic doesn't let up for a good couple of miles as I look south on the 710 freeway. So he's going to be gridlocked here unless he decides to jump over to that shoulder or get off the freeway at Whittier Boulevard. So we'll see what he decides to do here, but the driving is nowhere nearly as dangerous as it was, and at some point you wonder if maybe they will just give up on this altogether, or if they will follow this all the way through and take him in wherever he eventually comes to a stop. It can't go on forever, but we do know he's already made one pit stop during the course of the pursuit at a gas station, topped off, and then continued on. Getting off the freeway at Whittier Boulevard, taking that exit, deciding the traffic was too much, and yeah, that's going to put him in the Belvedere Gardens area. I can't tell. Is he facing eastbound? Northbound. Continuing northbound on Eastern, past Whittier Boulevard, right along the 710 freeway. He is on Eastern Avenue. Again, maintaining the speed limit about 45, 50 miles per hour. All right, going through another red light here, making a right turn from the left lane. A dangerous move there onto 3rd Street. That was an eastbound turn on 3rd Street. And they're doing eastbound on 3rd Street. We'll see just how long this goes on, but it's worth reiterating that it could go on for quite some time at this rate. Again, not a lot of ground resources involved in the pursuit at this moment. CHP does have a helicopter overhead keeping track of his movements here, as are we, and trying to figure out if they maybe have a beat on where this person lives, or if he shows any sign of developing a pattern. That would certainly help them if they have the resources available to try and attempt to use a spike strip to maybe disable the vehicle. But right now, it is all air resources following his movements here. Again, eastbound on 3rd Street, coming up on Current Avenue, or just east of the 710 freeway. A robbery suspect at the wheel of this Audi A4. Jay, you up? About an hour 20 of fuel. Suspect coming to another stop here at Atlantic. Keeping an eye on that black Audi in the center of your screen. One car back from the lead vehicle at the intersection there, and still in that turn lane. He's in the left turn lane on Pomona Boulevard, so maybe showing signs of making a northbound turn onto Atlantic here. No, a U-turn. A U-turn on Pomona Boulevard. That'll put us now in the westbound direction. Now we'll get a little bit of a better glimpse now as he comes towards us westbound on Pomona. You can clearly see that front bumper missing. We don't know how that damage happened, but you can see he has one hand on the wheel. At times we've seen him with another cell phone in his hand, and he is decked out in NBA Finals Laker gear. Coming to another stop for this red light, and this time going through the red light. So he's kind of picking and choosing which intersections to stop at, but clearly going through a red there. We've seen him go through a couple of reds in the last few minutes, and then occasionally he'll randomly stop for the occasional stop sign or crosswalk. So no telling. Look at him coming up right up against that that car in front of him, coming almost bumper to bumper, or lack thereof, with that car in front of him. Almost hit him. And he's changing shirts in the driver's seat. The suspect clearly very animated, in a rush to change shirts before the light turns green. He's now wearing a white t-shirt, picking up the cell phone once again, wearing a COVID mask. And now you got to wonder what his plan is. He is coming up with a plan in his head in regards to how he wants this day to end, or how he thinks it's going to end. In any event, turning off of 3rd Street there, southbound on Mednick Avenue. What was that, Jay? Chippy Whittier, copy. Got it. Thank you. Perfect. There's the two CHP patrol units making a U-turn. Might have caught a glimpse of those two officers, those CHP officers. We'll see if they make a left turn onto Arizona Avenue, but the suspect now making an impromptu U-turn on Arizona, going back north. Once again, want to go ahead and recap if you're just joining us on ABC7.com and our ABC7 streaming apps. Chris Christie up in Air 7 HD as we continue to follow this pursuit suspect. Pursuit which has now been in the custody of California Highway Patrol and is now in tracking mode as a CHP helicopter calls the shot from 1500 up. The suspect for a robbery, apparently a theft that took place at a Home Depot earlier this afternoon, shortly after 4 o'clock in Glendora, and we have been watching this suspect ever since as he kind of meanders through the San Gabriel Valley now in East LA. We saw just a few moments ago, despite the more relaxed driving that we've seen, he came to a stop at an intersection, changed his shirt, driver's side window now back up, heavily tinted windows, a partially damaged vehicle. It's an Audi A4 with a missing front bumper, a missing rear, that right rear tail light is out. And again, the driving has fluctuated between dangerous and erratic, at times very high speeds. At other times, such as right here, only doing about 40 miles per hour, indicating another left turn here. No, just going through these intersections. Sometimes he stops and other times blows right through these red lights, so creating a dangerous environment for these other motorists. Coming up on a little bit of traffic here. I'll go right behind that minivan. Interesting, excuse me, to see him pull up behind this minivan. What intersection is that, Rob? That's going to be First. So he's northbound on Mednick, coming up on First over the 60 overpass. And that was a negative to engage. Copy. Very good. So we're watching those chippy units about a block behind him, kind of keeping their distance. There were a couple up at Whittier Boulevard, made the turn with him, and now a third one joining along and tracking him from, like I said, about a block behind him, letting the helicopter, that California Highway Patrol helicopter, call the shots from above and looking for an opportunity to either box him in, or maybe if he pulls into a parking lot, maybe they could bring this to a safe and peaceful resolution. We know that he has stolen something. We don't know if the car itself is stolen or if there's stolen property inside the vehicle, but in any event, it's really unclear what other crimes this suspect has committed, whether there's any guns inside the vehicle. We don't know if he's armed. We don't have any reports of whether he is or isn't, but it's entirely possible that the California Highway Patrol at this point may have a better idea of what they're dealing with. In any event, they are giving him lots of room to work with. The driving, still doing about the speed limit here, about 40 to 45 along Cesar Chavez, and continuing to creep through East LA as those California Highway Patrol units continue to trail behind. Thank you. One more time, Jay. Hard right, cutting off that bus behind a pedestrian, crossing the crosswalk there, and now going south, southbound Atlantic Boulevard, a wild, unpredictable right turn there shortly after a California Highway Patrol Explorer just passed him, going in the other direction here. I think he thinks the heat is off, but we believe there are additional CHP units trailing back, not more than a couple of blocks behind him. He's continuing through First here, southbound Atlantic Boulevard. CHP does have their helicopter right overhead calling the shots, and now it looks like he's going to get on the freeway. him on the westbound side of the 60 freeway. Left signal, committing to the 60 freeway. Worth noting, we haven't covered a whole lot of real estate here in the last few minutes. He's right back to the same area where he was earlier, just passing Mednick now, continuing though on the 60 freeway this time, approaching the 710, going under the 710, and continuing westbound into East LA. Copy that. Two. Still CHP, right? Got it. Thank you. I've got it. It's no other details still on the original incident. Copy. Getting off at the 5, I think. And merging onto the 101. So in the East LA interchange, now pulling off onto the 101 freeway, northbound 101. And now we are back in the city of Los Angeles as California Highway Patrol continues to track the movements of that suspect right there in a blacked out Audi A4, wanted for a theft at a Home Depot late this afternoon. A pursuit initiated by the LA County Sheriff's Department. That Home Depot was located in Glendora. Should be off the nose. There he is. No, I didn't. Go ahead. Yep. Okay. Great. Very good. Where? Yeah. What? Yep. Let me see where that building. I'm trying to find that building. No. Yeah. Got off the 101. Got off the 101 at 4th Street. 4th, that's 1st. Go up. He must have gone past that. We need... right over the river. I'm looking at the river. Which bridge is this? I think Jay's watching on a delay. Okay, copy. Copy. Westbound 4th, still on 4th Street. He's not on the freeway. But that might be, that's first, right? I think he did cross over the river. Yep. No, well, we just need a cross street. Mateo and Whittier. Westbound Palmetto. Copy. He is west of the river. So Mateo is west of the river. He's south of the 101. Oh. Push in there. Towards us a little bit. One, 2, 4, 8 Palmetto. 1, 2, 4, 8 Palmetto. Parking structure. Right. Got it. Everybody. CHP lost him, Jay. Yeah, he's still in there, most likely. Let's do an orbit around here. What is that? Is that just a, yeah. Yep. Is it a mall? Or an apartment? Looks like an outdoor mall. Let's continue a full orbit around the building. Copy that. .530 Molino now, another parking structure. They're done. We're done. Hey, Jay, it sounds like everybody's done. All right. We're up. Yep. Yeah, we should be okay.